What's going on, friends and family? This is another episode of My Thoughts Uncut. On this particular episode, we're going to talk about the New York mayor to be, Zoran Mamdani. He's going to win. He's going to win. We're going to highlight 3 separate clips of him kind of not really answering the questions that were asked. So let's take a look and deep dive.
Goes to you, Mr. Mamdani. You were arrested for blocking traffic in a pro-Palestinian protest, and you participated in a sit-in at Grand Central. Protesters offered block streets, bridges, and hubs like Grand Central. How much of that would you allow as mayor, and what's your line in having the NYPD arrest protesters?
So before you listen, the question was, okay, so he sat in bridges, hubs, and he basically kind of blocked public traffic. She wants to know what he's going to do if people were to do that if he was mayor.
You have a minute.
Protest is a part of what makes this city's history what it is. It is a part of the First Amendment. We deserve to have a mayor who stands up for that First Amendment, especially as we have a president that's looking to shred it at each and every opportunity. And we will continue to have protests in this city, as we should, no matter who is the mayor. And the line will be on the question of breaking the law. What we have today, however, is an attempt to intimidate so many who are looking to use that freedom of expression to share their opinions about the city and the world around them. And to be frank with you, what New Yorkers are looking for is someone who can show leadership in City Hall. Because when they don't see that leadership, that's when so many take to the streets. And if you had a leader like Andrew Cuomo, who was telling people not to overreact when they see ICE agents abducting girls as young as 6 years old to deport them, many New Yorkers will take to the streets. We deserve to have a leader who will actually be following through on the values of the city. That's the leader that I'll be.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Did he answer the question about what would he do as mayor if people were protesting and basically impeding public transportation? They can't be out in the highways. They can't be on the bridges. So what would he do? He didn't answer. You tell me.
Mr. Mamdani, just a quick follow-up. If you're elected, would you still participate in protests?
No, if I'm elected, I'll be the mayor, and I'll be leading the city from City Hall.
But no.
Did he answer? If you were the mayor, would you still participate in protests? The answer is yes or no. What he said?
No participate. Mr. Mamdani, just a quick follow-up. If you're elected, would you still participate in protests?
No, if I'm elected, I'll be the mayor, and I'll be leading the city from City Hall.
But no.
If I'm elected the president of the United States, I'll be the president of the United States. That's basically what he did. What kind of response is that?
No participation in protests, right?
The important thing is to lead from City Hall. That's what I'll be doing.
Okay.
Yeah. He didn't answer the question. The important thing is to lead from City Hall. And then he smiled like he did great. His parents is looking at him like this.
If I may respond,
He's still smiling.
Yeah.
A very brief response, and then I have a question for you.
I dealt with ICE. I stood up with ICE. I had a war with ICE here in New York when I was governor. And I stood them down, and they moved out. What the assemblyman is saying is he doesn't believe in law and order. He believes in defunding the police, disarming the police, disbanding the police. That's who he is. Abolish jails.
Sorry,
I have a question for you.
Okay.
And actually, he is correct about that. He definitely believes in, he does not believe in police. And here's a clip of what he said before.
Oftentimes, we've even found as legislators, when we go into these courts, the term violent crime is even used when people are stealing packages. Violent crime is even used when people are accused of burglary and there happens to be a housing unit in that same dwelling.
So stealing packages and burglary, that's okay. Do you not understand that burglary can lead to violent crimes? It can lead to people losing their lives. Stealing packages is illegal, which can also lead to violent crime. Oh, brother.
Violence is an artificial construction. Right. We have to be very clear.
What does that
what's
mean?
happening here with these district attorneys, that is violence.
So there you go. that was his answer to that. He actually does want to defund the police.
15 seconds
Very
rebuttal,
quickly.
Mr.
No, we have
Mamdani,
to-
and then
we
we
have to
do
move on.
just 15 seconds because we have a question for Mr. Cuomo.
Mr. Cuomo lies again and again and again. I am not running to defund the police. I am running to actually work with the police to deliver public safety. Andrew Cuomo says
He got caught in a lie, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at the next clip.
Case.
Mr. Mamdani, how will
Breathe
you
once
make?
in a while.
Okay, Mr. Mamdani, how will you make the city safer, and how will you change the NYPD?
How you make the city safer? How would you change the NYPD? Now listen, he's going to talk a lot and try to confuse you. Question is, PD, city.
Thank you. This is the concern for so many New Yorkers, and I'm proud to have a comprehensive plan to bring new ideas to this city. If you want more of the same, vote for Andrew Cuomo. If you want an actual approach to lower crime, look at our Department of Community Safety. That is something that has been hailed by experts as addressing so many of the pieces of why New Yorkers are not feeling safe today. We will ensure that no longer are police officers asked to do the job of both policing and responding to the mental health crisis. We will have dedicated teams of mental health outreach workers in the top 100 subway stations with the highest levels of the mental health crisis and homelessness. We will ensure that cops can finally go back to the response times they used to have in 2020, closer to 11 minutes, as opposed to the closer to 16 minutes today, because they won't be asked to respond to the 200,000 mental health calls that are coming in through 911 every
Mental health calls. What he calls people being criminals is mental health calls. This is why New York City is.
year. This is evidence-based. It's been successful elsewhere in the country. It's time we deliver it right here in New York City. It's time for a
Thank you,
change.
Mr. Mamdani.
Mamdani, we already had it. It was called the Homeless Outreach Unit.
And I actually did a video of how bad New York is. A man in the subway just murdered someone for looking at him the wrong way. And in the Bronx, there was a gang-related shooting with about 50 to 70 gunshots counted. New York is bad. Let's look at another clip.
We're going to talk a little bit more about the runaway rent in this city. Mr. Mamdani, you're pledging to freeze rent for nearly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments. That really affects less than half of all rentals in the city. What is your plan for those who aren't in stabilized apartments but are struggling to pay the rent? What are you going to do for them?
Well, I'm proud to say that yes, will freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants. And I will also build 200,000 truly affordable homes across the 5 boroughs over the next 10 years to ensure that tenants, whether rent-stabilized or market rate, can actually have more housing such that they are not being priced out of this city. And finally, I'm also going to make it easier for the private sector to build housing in this city, because what we see today is that it's not labor, it's not materials, it's the weight that is often costing so much to actually build the housing we need in this city.
Okay, so this guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. The cost of maintenance, you have to wait for the data year by year, which changes. And the guidelines actually allows the landlord to decide, actually is guidelines to determine whether or not you can raise or lower the cost based on the annual data. And you can't predict what the annual data is going to be in the future. You have to wait to see the data. So he's just saying anything. You know, landlords also have to make a living too. You can't just freeze automatically the cost of their rent. That's not how it works. He's just babbling. And the thing is this guy was a foreclosure prevention counselor. There we go. Which basically he just helped homeowners who are at risk of foreclosure. But that's not leading a entire city, the biggest city in the United States with the budget in the billions. This guy, oh man, bad for New York.
Thank you. And a follow-up for you, Mr. Mamdani. The cost of maintaining a building change year to year for landlords. The Rent Guidelines Board is legally required to consider those costs when deciding whether to freeze rents. So how can you promise a rent freeze today before ever seeing that data next year?
I told you guys. I told you.
You know, we've seen the data. Time and again, it's
But next year's data.
It's been data that's been overruled by mayors again and again. The last Rent Guidelines Board study showed that profits were up 12% for landlords of those units. And what did they do? They raised the rent, adding to more than 12% under Eric Adams' administration. What I am speaking about is actually reflecting the needs of these New Yorkers and the state of the market today. These are New Yorkers who have a median household income of $60,000. We do not need to be pushing them further out of the city. We need to keep them in their homes.
Aren't you saying in that answer that you are going to prejudge? You will not have seen the data for next year, and you're making a determination based on data you haven't seen.
You can't do that.
I've seen the data year after year
That's not how you
of the
run
fact
business.
that salaries are stagnating,
Based
costs
on the
are up,
current
New Yorkers can't actually afford their apartments. And I will also take action to actually ensure that the landlords of those buildings
we're
can
at
better handle their
time.
costs by taking on their insurance,
It is
their property
based on
taxes, and
annual
their water
data,
bills.
and you haven't seen next year's data
Mr.
yet, but
Cuomo,
we're going to go
I do
to
have a
Melissa.
question for you on this subject.
He basically just wants to raise taxes on the people that are earning majority of the money in the city. People who are rich, who are millionaires, maybe even billionaires, they're the ones that provide jobs for the people that live in New York. And you're trying to tax the crap out of them? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to move. Billionaires can move wherever they want. Multimillionaires can move wherever they want. Millionaires can move wherever they want. Who's going to get stuck with all these high price taxes? The middle class, the lower income earners, and the poor people in New York City.
You have proposed something that you're calling Zoran's Law. You think that Mr. Mamdani earns too much to live in his rent-stabilized apartment, though I should note that there are no income tests for rent-stabilized apartments. But critics say your plan would force people to pay too much of their income.
So here's the thing. Mamdani lives in a rent-stabilized apartment, which is typically for a lower income person to help them. So he's making all this money and he's staying in a low income rent apartment, paying about $2,200 to $2,500 a month, which, yes, it's a lot, but in New York City, that's cheap. So why doesn't he move out and let someone that's a lower income stay there to help them if he's all about socialism and all about helping everyone? But he hasn't done that. He still lives there. All right, let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know if you agree with this man or disagree with me. And leave a like, comment. I will be looking for those feedbacks. All right, check it out. Peace.